Do you know what a Pokémon Nuzlocke is? If you don't, then you haven't watched my Nuzlocke videos on Fire Red and Emerald. You should watch those. Anyway, a Nuzlocke is a Pokemon challenge run intended to create a unique and more challenging gameplay experience through a set of self-imposed rules. This is my third Nuzlocke video, so I'm just going to put the rules in the description as well as a very short explanation of the three main rules here. Rule 1. If your Pokemon faints, it will be boxed forever or released. Rule 2. You can only catch one Pokemon per area. And Rule 3. You must nickname each and every one of your Pokemon. I made two Nuzlocke videos before this one and they both did really well, so now we're continuing the series to the Johto region in a Pokemon HeartGold. As always, if you enjoyed these types of videos and would like to show support, be sure to like and subscribe and give me your thoughts in the comments. And now, on to the video. Like most of these games, we start out by leaving our house and meeting the professor, but not before discovering some freak spying on him while he's changing. The professor wants us to receive a package from a guy named Mr. Pokemon out of town, and to make sure we come back alive, he lets us have one of his Pokemon, and I choose Cyndaquil and name him Beans. He gives us his phone number and I head out. At the next town over, I'm harassed by this old man and his mansplaining, and I'm mistaken this guy for Mr. Pokemon. When I reach the Pokemon's house, he gives me an egg for Elm to study, and Professor Oak, who also happens to be there, gives me a Pokédex. On my way back, I get a troubling call from Elm about some criminal activity. Turns out that kid wasn't freaky for the professor, but for his Pokemon. Then I accidentally reset my game without saving. After repeating everything within the last 30 minutes, I meet the thief in Cherry Grove City, and I kick his sorry ass. I was able to briefly catch his name when he dropped his wallet, and I learned his name was Gunnar. After all the commotion, I give Elm the egg, and Elm suggests I challenge the gyms. My friend here shows me how to play Pokemon, and I take a minute to find out what all would qualify as a region in this Nuzlocke. I catch a squirrel and a bird, but fail to catch this bug because I ran out of Pokeballs. I catch a bat in a nearby cave, and catch a bell pepper here in Route 32, then I put away all the Pokemon I don't need. I get another chance to catch a bug that I name Peanut, and make my way into Bellsprout Tower, and prove I got the balls for the first gym. I challenge to defeat all the masters at the top and get the TM Flash. Now that I've proven myself, I fight the flying gym leader Faulkner, whose Pidgeotto had a bit of a back and forth with Beans here, but we win and we get our first badge. Afterwards, we go into the Pokemart, where one of Elm's assistants gives us the mystery egg to watch. I find the old rod in Route 32 and catch this rock in a nearby cave. My mysterious egg hatches into a Togepi and I name him Starchild. I watch him mugging from a safe distance and I catch a Hoppip in the nearby grass that I name Twirlywhirl. I found an old man that could teach me cut, but he has better things to do, so I guess I could do some vigilante justice. The old guy broke his hip, so I'll have to go in alone, but I won't need help for these fools. After I save the day, I get jumped by Gunnar, and then I help this guy collect his ducks, and I'm rewarded with cut. I grab a Slowpoke from the Slowpoke cave and switch him out with an HM slave, and then I challenge the gym. Bugsy's Scyther is hard, but I did my research and know what to expect, and with Scyther down, he only had Cocoon Pokemon, so he was an easy win. This guy in the woods taught Beans how to be a menace to the tree fauna, and I showed this woman out of the forest by walking 10 feet to the left. I met my friend's grandparents and I caught a Drowsy that I named Randy. Then I frolicked around in Goldenrod City until my bell pepper evolved. I learned about the bug catching contest in a national park and I caught a Metapod, which wasn't good enough to win and I didn't get anything cool. I passed this pop quiz on Pokemon nonsense, which impresses this girl here, and now I could challenge the third gym leader, Whitney. I've heard of her Miltank being a problem, and while hard to kill, it didn't pose any real threats either, and we got our third badge. We can now use the internet, and I attack this fake tree and lose my bat in the process, so I catch it and name it Bastard. I lose my bell pepper not long after to a reindeer. With my team down 2-0, I need a new member and I know a surefire way of catching a strong Pokemon in the form of a Magikarp. My Starchild evolved and I caught a Growlithe and a Raticate. Starchild can't evolve until after I beat the game, so he's been discarded and replaced with a Sparrow I got from an NPC named Kenya. Kenya reaches her girl boss era and I go to the spooky tower to find some gods chilling in a hole, and this guy here tells me he likes the blue one in particular. Of course, Gunnar is here and he thinks I'm after the legendary Pokemon, so I flatten his ass. I go downstairs and disturb the wildlife and they start flipping out, but Blue here gets lost in my eyes for a bit before running off. I also catch a fart balloon that I name Stinky. I challenge the ghost gym leader Morty, and Kenya absolutely bullies his Pokebros to pursuit until I get my prize. The next town over is Olivine City, where I run into the Goon Man again, but he says he won't bother me because I'm weak, even though I beat him every time we fought. And I learned that the gym leader is away at the lighthouse taking care of a sick Pokemon. I knocked a bunch of eggs out of a tree that I named Excellent, then I made my way back to the ghost gym town to stop this grunt from being silly and adventurous. And this guy in the audience thanked me with the HM Surf. I find the steel gym leader Jasmine at the top of the lighthouse, but she won't leave until I get some medicine. So I grab my fish out of boot camp and give him some evolved juice, and now I can cross the water. I try and fail to catch this Quagsire in the ruins, but I do catch this tadpole in Eucritique City. While returning to Olivine City, I ran into the legendary dog Entei, which was pretty cool. I crossed the water into Cyanwood City, where I got the medicine from a nearby pharmacy. This guy gave me a shuckle and this woman promised me a reward if I beat the fighting gym here. and with Kenya freshly juiced up from all the trainer fights in the water, and his gym leader only having 2 Pokemon, it was over in an instant. The woman gave me the HM Fly, and I had another encounter with Suicune on the north side of the island, and the Fanatic was not far behind. He challenged me to a fight where I almost lost Beans to a Thunder. I returned to Olivine City and gave Amphy some medicine, and after that Jasmine returned to her post as the Steel Gym leader of Olivine. I got a call from Professor Oak about a new road being cleared, so I went out to explore it, where I got my picture taken, caught a Gloom in the Safari Zone, and caught a Tauros named Powerhouse, and returned to the Steel Gym. Jasmine has been the hardest fight so far, with half her team being electric, which will instantly fell both Death and Kanya. And the rest of my team weren't fit for this fight either. I lost Bastard, Kenya, and his no-name HM slave. Everyone else barely made it out alive, except for my fish Death, who came out unscathed and won us the fight. I put all my dead friends to rest and grabbed a new bird to roid up. I finally switched out my dead HM slave with a live one, and got booty blasted by this hiker guy who apologized by giving me the HM strength. I casually passed by Suicune and learn about an edgelord lurking around at the Lake of Rage, and I find a sussy building in this crypto scammer. While being silly, I come across Entei again, and then I decide to say hi to Suicune, but he hates me. I catch a fish in Mount Mortar and catch me an Electro Sheep outside the cave. While training my homies, I run into Entei yet again, and I'm starting to think he might like me. On my way to the Lake of Rage, I get kinda robbed by these grunts, and then I fight a redfish and knock it out cause I'm loyal to my fish. After knocking out the red Gyarados, I find out the edgelord is actually Lance from Fire Red, and he asked me if I could help with an investigation. It turns out the sus building was the imposter, and we have to explore the rocket hideout where I intentionally trip alarms cause I like beating up bad guys. While exploring, I run into Gunnar, who's crying about losing the Lance, and then he pushes me, and that's kinda fucked up. In the heart of the hideout, I find an actual imposter, which makes my dumb Among Us joke earlier make sense now. I kick his ass, but now I need a password. Fortunately, this bird is here to help us out. I get jumped by some bad news, but Lance jumps in and makes it a 2-on-2. Lance thanks me for my hard work with the HM Whirlpool. I challenged the Ice Gym leader, Price, and he was a joke. All 3 of his Pokemon were taken out in 1 hit each, and my Pokemon took next to no damage. After a bit of lollygagging, I find out my next location is in Goldenrod City, where instead of just some signal, Team Rocket has held the entire radio station hostage. So I pretend to be a new recruit and grab some grunt clothes that allow me to sneak into the station. Unfortunately, Gunnar stops us, believing we were a grunt, and it blows our cover. With our cover now blown, we go ham until we can find the same imposter speaking dirty lies on the air. After we beat him, he gives us a basement key and the location of the director. Gunnar came back to bother us while we work, and I had to put him in his place again, and I find the director and I grab another key, which allows me to fight who I assume is the true boss of Team Rocket, Executive Archer. Archer hits hard, but I shit harder and I take him out, and the director thanks me with a rainbow wing. I found a monkey in a tree, and then Beans grew up, and while traveling through the S-Tunnel, I happen across the waterfall HM. I get a new bat and name him Wobat, and help one of those traditional ladies out of the ice here. The tunnel leads to Blackthorn City, and I find a cave above the nearby pond that I'm not allowed to go through, so I find a Rockman around 45, and I kill him. When I'm done messing around in the town, I challenge the final gym where my fish and Claire's Kingdra have a battle of attrition. This went on for so long that the Kingdra started struggling. I must have been terrified of this fight. When I beat Claire, she refuses to give me the badge and tells me to meet the elders in the cave above the pond. However, I didn't read that part, and I assumed I got the badge and everything was normal. I cross the river in my hometown and catch a jellyfish, and this guy gives me a fun fact about how I just entered the Kanto region. But when I enter this cave and try to use waterfall, it fails. That's when I realize I didn't get the final badge. So I do what this hoe wants and I go and meet the elders. The elders ask me some questions that require Disney Channel corporate ass answers, so I get the final badge, and a professor back home gives me the master ball for getting all the badges and tells me the Kimono sisters want to see me. It turns out the sisters wanted to see me so they can jump me, and I sacrifice my powerhouse to save Beans. After beating them up, they all run to Ho-Oh Tower because Ho-Oh is there. At the top of the tower, the sisters do a little dance and summon Ho-Oh, and I catch him by Master Ball, and then I name him Apollo. Now that I can use waterfall freely, I continue through this cave here, and after a bit of walking and fighting, I enter Victory Road. Victory Road was filled with puzzles as usual. But before I can leave the cave, Gunnar fights me for one last time, and his Fraligator takes out Zaptor. So I switch him out and replace him with a monkey and a bat, and this Heracross I found in a tree in Route 47. And on my journey to raise everyone up to the right level, I came across both Raikou and Entei in Route 39. Now with everyone leveled up, I'm ready for the Elite Four. And first of the gauntlet is the Psychic Trainer Will, and my Heracross absolutely cleans shop with Mega Horn and Brick Break for Jinx. Next up is Koga from the Kanto region and his Poison Pokemon, and Beans takes out the first two very easily, but takes multiple flamethrowers to beat the tanky Muck and his Crobat, and Venomoth was a one-shot. After that is Bruno, once again from Kanto, a fighting Pokemon, and my Bird Sky uses Drill Peck to one-shot every single fighting type, and my Gyarados cleans up his Onix. The last of the four is Karen, who specializes in Dark-type Pokemon. My Heracross punches out her Umbreon, and my Gyarados uses Ice Fang Wing on her Murkrow and Surf on her Houndoom. Then Beans burns up her Vileplume and takes out her Gengar with a few flamethrowers. I've beaten all the Elite Four without losing even one of our Pokemon, and things were looking great, until we came across the champion Lance. His Gyarados uses Ice Fang on my Bird Sky and nearly takes her out, but with a Drill Peck and a Fly, she comes out on top. I take out his Aerodactyl with Surf, but not before tanking a Thunder Fang on my Gyarados. Beans hits his Dragonite with a Flamethrower, which it shrugs off and retaliates with Thunder Wave. Beans then tanks 2 Dragon Rushes until we both have to heal our Pokemon. Lance's Dragonite then gets a critical hit on Beans and knocks him out. My Bat tries to hit him from the sky, but is caught with Thunder and finished with a Dragon Rush. Sky gets one hit in before getting struck down, and Heracross deals one final blow to the menace that wiped out most of all my team single-handedly. It is no time to celebrate, however, as Lance sends out a Charizard, and Heracross gets him down to yellow before he's inevitably struck down of his 4 times weakness to flying. Now I only have my lucky Gyarados against his Charizard and 2 Dragonites, and the odds are not in my favor. My Gyarados comes in not even at full health, but she takes out Charizard with ease, but is then put at the brink of her life with 2 Dragon Rushes. After healing death, she uses Ice Fang once and then twice more, and the dragon goes down. Now it's the final battle with both our teams at their last members. We both cripple each other in one hit, and his Dragonite heals with a Stridus Berry, and I fully heal my Pokemon and finish the fight with an Ice Fang and become the champion of the Johto region. And with that, we're finally done. It was one hell of a climactic finish, and while I may have overleveled a bit at the end, the final battle here proves that I made the right choice. This is by far the most suspenseful fight I've had in any of my Nuzlocke so far, and while I may have beaten the base game, there's still so much more in the HeartGold post-game that is worth its own video in the future. I'm sorry if it's been a while since I made a video, and while I'd like to say I've been very busy, the truth is I was lazy and decided that the playing games part of making videos is a lot more fun than the editing part of video making. Now I have a 120GB folder of recorded gameplay that I need to clean up. And I'll be making another video in a couple weeks on one of my favorite Game Boy games, so be sure to subscribe and keep yourself notified in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.